Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a horror film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2020, directed by Leigh Whannell, and this film is called The Invisible Man. So The Invisible Man is about this woman. At the start of the film, she's trying to escape from her husband, so it's obvious that things are not very good. He's abusive, and she is actually scared for her own safety. So she tries to escape, and this is what really starts the film. So she basically gets out, and she hears that her husband has killed himself, and so this is an opportunity to start a new life. But then as she starts to live her new life, strange things happen, and she starts to suspect that maybe her husband is not in fact out of her life and is actually tormenting her through an invisible presence. And so whether or not that is the case is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Invisible Man. I have to say that this is one of the most frustrating horror films that I've seen in a very long time now. A lot of people love this film. Now, each to their own, good for you. If you love this movie, then that's good. You know, movies are all subjective, but for me, I just don't share the love because I thought this is an incredibly frustrating exercise. Now, this is a movie where if the director, Leigh Whannell, who is very well established in the horror genre, ever since he was part of the Saw, the very first Saw film, he's gone on to make numerous other movies. He's Australian, a fellow Australian, so something to be very proud of. But I just thought to myself, this is a film where if the movie took a lot of different avenues, then it would have been so much better. Is that there are so many occasions where I thought, if you did this, then I would have liked it a lot more. But I just thought to myself, there are so many horror tropes in this film that is basically everything that is wrong with mainstream Hollywood horror. And I'll go through that a little bit later, but what I liked about The Invisible Man, it is very well made. It is clear that this is a very good director. Elizabeth Moss' performance as the main character was fantastic. This is a film about domestic violence and the consequences of domestic violence and how domestic violence can linger in someone's life. And I thought Elizabeth Moss portrayed a woman that you could feel a lot of sympathy for, you could connect to, you wanted her to get a bigger and better life. But then as the situation starts to go in, you get this inkling that something is not right, that the presence of the domestic violence is around her. And this is where I thought the film really could have made a name for itself. It really could have struck home. It really could have been an exceptional psychological horror film, but unfortunately it's not. There are glimpses of an exceptional horror film. You know, there are set pieces that are fantastically well done. I thought the cinematography was excellent, a very well established and very polished film, which is something you'd expect from a mega budget horror film. But I just thought to myself, there are areas that are absolutely fantastic, and if they could expand on that fantastic sort of moment, it would have been absolutely brilliant. But unfortunately, there's a fantastic moment that is let down by another moment that really lessens the quality. And that was the biggest problem to the whole film, is that, all right, if it goes down a more psychological way instead of something that you can actually see, which if you see the film, you know what I mean, you kind of spells things out for you. And I thought there were moments that don't spell things out for you, especially towards the halfway mark. You start to suspect, all right, is she going a little bit insane? Yeah, the domestic violence of her past, is it really playing a factor on her? And so those questions are there, but when the questions are answered, I just thought to myself, it didn't need that. It didn't need to hold your hand. But unfortunately, this is everything that is Hollywood horror, is that it has to hold your hand. It has to spell everything out. No one wants to use their heads anymore. And so for that, I just thought making it obvious was kind of going against all the really good things that Leigh Whannell had actually created. And that to me was the biggest disappointment. That's why I come away from this movie just thinking as though it could have been so much better. I just thought without holding the audience's hand and telling them what is going on and whether or not what this woman's going through is real or not, I thought it would have been a lot better if it was a lot more ambiguous, basically drawing your own conclusions as to what the film is about, but it doesn't do that. It goes down a different direction that you've seen time and time again that really holds your hand. This movie is 2 hours and it's way too long. I thought there were moments that it really could have stopped and it would have been a lot better, but once again, it keeps on going. So for someone such as Leigh Whannell, I just thought to myself, it needed more self-awareness. It just didn't realise where this movie could have gone. Now this is, as I said, this is subjective. Maybe you guys love the film, but for me, I just thought it lacked that awareness to make a great, great movie. Whereas I thought it was a little bit clouded by how much money this film was going to make, which is ultimately the curse of Hollywood film. So that to me, I don't share the love with this movie. I just thought it was overlong. I thought there were moments that it just wasn't self-aware. It didn't really know how to expand on the really good ideas, and unfortunately just comes across as a disposable horror film. Now, I know Elizabeth Moss's performance was fantastic, but I thought as though she deserved a much better film. So this was disappointing. I'm not going to recommend it. Once again, even though I don't recommend a film, still go out there and see it, because as I said, movies are subjective. Maybe you will love it, but for me, I didn't love it. I just thought it left me wanting so much more, and that the feeling of disappointment couldn't be taken away, because of the fact I thought there were so many moments that could have made this film brilliant, but unfortunately it just doesn't take those moments, and the potential, I believe, was wasted. So overall, good performance from Elizabeth Moss, some fairly good set pieces, but unfortunately that's pretty much all there is to like about the Invisible Man. So as a result of that, I'm only going to give this film 2 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.